Okay, let's get right to it. So there's some shocking news that's coming out, which that Trump has now, kind of bundled together the idea that essentially you may actually get some sort of DOGE stimulus from money that they save. I think this is a ploy. I think it is a usable trick, a smart trick, if you will. But bottom line is, let me explain what happened with the SSA, and then we can kind of go into here. I'll correct that a little bit there. Boom. And then we can kind of go into what's happening with President Trump and how he's kind of using the COVID style stimulus check idea to get more people on board with the DOGE situation. So there's an article here. I'm just going to get right into it real quick. Top Social Security official exits after clash with Musk's DOGE over data. And to be fair, I just want to make something really clear. Most of you did not know that you had a new commissioner at the SSA, which is basically like the president of the SSA. I went to go look up the new commissioner and like get like a bio op piece or whatever on the person that's replacing the one that we only had for like a month. It's not even a month. So I went into Wikipedia because I couldn't find one on the SSA. So I'm like going through it and I'm like searching through the commissioners. I'm like, okay. Where's Carolyn Colvin? She's in and out of this thing a bunch. There's Carolyn. There she is again. All right, there's Kilolo, there's Martin O'Malley. You guys know I like Martin O'Malley. So then I went to the very end of Wikipedia, right here. And there's Michelle King. And she's only been in for less than a month. And she doesn't even have a picture up there yet. Well, anyways, the new commissioner, Michelle King, who was really of the cloth of the SSA. Like she started not in the mailroom, but it was that mentality. Like she worked her way up through specialists to this, to that, executive, blah, blah, blah. So what's interesting is that like there was a problem. And you know how you guys are like, oh, there's not going to be any changes to Social Security, or you're on the other end of things and you're like, the whole thing's on fire. There's no way back, that kind of stuff. Which, by the way, there are trolls. They're strong and mighty and they eat a lot of spinach. There are trolls in the comments. And you know what I did today just to like cleanse my, my brain of what I thought was the middle? I watched some very, very like far right and some very, very far left videos on the same topic. And, it's just what happened. You go extreme, like hardcore Christian to essentially like the angriest purple, pink, and blue hair that you've ever seen. And they're both screaming and so angry. And, I got to be honest, I don't really know what the middle is at this point. I don't think anybody really has a good grasp on that. And so that was the thing when I watched like the purple hair. I have a lot of friends who are vegans that have the purple hair and the pink hair and the blue hair. Those are like the three colors that usually get popped together. But I was like, I don't think that my friends would be okay with this. I feel like that's a misrepresentation. And then, of course, Christians, there's a whole varied existence. There's people who are, just dabbling in this religion or, really into it. And they spend their Sundays or they're like every day they're in the church, it's really, really hard. They're into like, on the one side they like these races and on the other side they like these races. And it's weird. I can't tell you what the middle is at this point. I try to give you middle, but I don't know what it is. So when somebody's like, you got to give us, you're not the middle. I don't know what the middle is anymore. I tried to figure it out myself. It was too tough. I don't think anybody really has a good grasp on where the middle actually is. But here's my thing. I want you to be prepared based off the programs they use internally with the SSA so you don't lose your benefits. There are some trolls who keep attacking me and saying that I talk too much about disability benefits. I am America's most viewed Social Security disability attorney. It's going to happen. But just for those people who are a little bit confused on this one, when you say Social Security benefits, that's not only retirement benefits. I don't know why people keep going like Social Security is only this and you're talking about SSDI. Social Security is a ton of programs. Widows, right? DAC benefits, this, SSDI, SSI, retirement, blah, blah, blah. It's a ton of benefits. It's not just retirement. Retirement's part of Social Security benefits, but that retirement is retirement benefits. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get right to the point of this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Yet another, and our article scared me. It genuinely scared me because, you guys know I practice in this field every day. I practice on the holidays, which, by the way, there were some DDS reps working on the holiday, by the way. That was a federal holiday on Monday. All right, yet another top career staffer is leaving the administration amid a disagreement over a request by Elon Musk's team for sensitive government information. Okay. The acting commissioner of the Social Security Administration, this was by Lisa Rain, Holly Bailey, Jeff Stein, Jacob Bogage, Bogage, I'm not sure, Washington Post. So the acting commissioner of the Social Security Administration, who was put in by Trump, okay, and she was a good pick. Her history with the agency was like her entire vocational background. Anyways, the acting commissioner of the Social Security Administration left her job this weekend, after a clash with billionaire Elon Musk's U.S. D.O.G.E service over its attempt to access government records. 3 people familiar with her departure said Monday. Okay, so like this happened over the weekend. There was such a disagreement between Elon and the president of the SSA, which is basically, Miss King, Commissioner King, that she flat out over the weekend said, bleep this, I'm out, no way, Jose. She hasn't even been in there long enough for Wikipedia to give her a picture. But you'll notice over here, the new commissioner that's replacing her is already, wait, is he in here? Yeah, he's already in there. He's already in Wikipedia. This was just announced. Wikipedia, you are on it. You are on this. All right, so let me show you real quick. Michelle King, who spent several decades at the agency before being named its acting commissioner last month, left her position Sunday after the disagreement, the people said. So let's just be fair. Like, if you guys are sitting back saying Social Security isn't being changed, it is being changed. But to be fair, you got to argue both sides with this. Social Security Administration was changed a bunch of times under Biden. Biden was like, we're not touching Social Security. It was changed a whole lot. I really like Commissioner, Martin O'Malley. I really liked him. But, the bottom line is there's a lot of people that don't like him because of stuff he did before becoming commissioner. I've seen some of his more recent videos. I do have an issue with one of his more recent statements. We're going to go through that, though. President Donald Trump appointed Leland Dudek, a manager in charge of Social Security's anti-fraud office, as acting commissioner, while Frank Bisignano, the president's nominee for permanent commissioner, is vetted by the Senate, according to 3 individuals who spoke on the condition of anonymity to talk candidly. So here's what Trump's doing. Trump is basically putting in an anti-fraud person who literally is in charge of anti-fraud at the SSA into the commissioner position, which is not one of the upper level executive positions. It's up there. It's just not upper that you would expect. And as a result of that, he's setting himself up to have the anti-fraud guy slide all the stuff over to Elon. Elon does this thing to figure out the problems. And then at that point, basically he'll put Frank Bisignano in there, who will put private industry programs in place at the SSA to hyper automate the system. I know there's a lot of arguments about that. Let me stay on point there because, I have squirrel problems. My ADHD is really good. It's strong right now. All right, so let's keep rocking. So bottom line is this, a public announcement is expected this week. It's not even, but yet Wikipedia's got that stuff. Let me tell you. Dudek has posted positive remarks on social media about DOGE's efforts to cut costs and search for fraud in federal agencies, according to 2 of the individuals. Now, what's interesting about this is that a lot of this fraud that's being found by Elon is being published as if out of nowhere it's magically here. The grand majority of it we already knew about. It was in the 2023 OIG report. However, some of the more saucy details, the more out there details, the like people are getting paid that don't have all of their information filled in on the program, some of those were not included that I could find in the OIG report, which then makes you wonder, what the hell, guys? Like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Come on. So with that said, Trump presidency. Let's go through a little of this. President Trump, quote, President Trump has nominated the highly qualified and talented Frank Bisignano to lead the Social Security Administration, and we expect him to be swiftly confirmed in the coming weeks, White House spokesman Harrison Field said in a statement. Now, remember, the only reason he's not in yet is because Frank Bisignano has to be vetted, and the senators, here's what's going to happen. The senators on the right, Republicans, are going to rah. The senators on the left, right, the ones that basically are the Democrat side, they're just going to go ahead and beat him up. name call, be angry at them. That's how it works. When you got somebody who wants to come in from the right, left goes after them. When you want somebody to go in for the left, right goes after. That's it. They are shit show hearings. They're disgusting. It makes me sick to call them a senator, but that's how it happens. Okay. They both sides do it. All right. White House spokesman said that in the meantime, the agency will be led by a career Social Security anti-fraud expert as the acting commissioner. President Trump is committed to appointing the best and most qualified individuals who are dedicated to working on behalf of the American people, not to appease the bureaucracy that has failed them for far too long. Trump is doing something, and he's got a much bigger plan here to get people on board. And he's saucing it up by basically creating a situation where he's saving money, whatever fraud he can find, you know what I mean? And then he's going to turn it around and turn it into a stimulus check that he gives the American people. And here's my thing. He's now starting to come out with all of his announcements as to, like, no tax on tips, no tax on the elderly retirement benefits, blah, 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 blah. I think what he's realized is that America is really similar to the Coliseum. If you can figure out how to control the mob, the rah, right, then you can basically get them on your side to do these things. Some of the things, though, I think we'd all agree are happening very fast, and they're happening from people do we want this individual having all of that info? And remember, I've heard theories that are all over the place. I've heard theories that, Trump has Elon in there to study Area 51 stuff all the way over to, basically they're creating a long time, ongoing D.O.G.E that will constantly audit everything. But to be fair, we had that. I don't know. It seems like a much flashier version of what that normally would be. Like, I don't know if you guys know about the Office of Inspector General, but that was the whole point of it. Remember how I did that video where I showed you 3 Social Security employees who all frauded the Social Security computer system and were able to get money out of Social Security by basically creating fake socials, creating fake children, creating fake accounts, all that stuff. So the point I'm getting at with this is that it is weird that they're finding things. Now, people will argue, and I don't disagree with them on this, that, Elon has a bunch of programmers as opposed to accountants. And obviously he's got both. But, if you haven't ever programmed or, gone into a system to try and figure out what you want to take from it, database selection, the way it works is you need programmers to go into the system to pull the information, export it, and then put it into some other program that can read it. And then you get the accountants on it. That's why he's got all these young little programmers running around doing that stuff, because they're basically jumping over those walls to pull the data. He's getting full exports to read in another system that is probably, let's call it a privatized, super review system. All right. Now, with that said, and again, I'm not going for that or against that. I'm keeping this in the middle. Okay. Whatever that is, that's a moving target. In selecting Dudek, Trump bypassed dozens of other senior executives who sat higher in the agency's leadership hierarchy, touching off alarm in and around the agency, which has already faced years of budget and staffing difficulties. So basically, remember how I said that position, that fraud guy position isn't super high up? Normally, what you pick for the Social Security Administration to lead it for commissioner positions are people that are in that last layer, that cake layer of executives or politicians. Those are the 2 people normally picked to lead the Social Security Administration. Sometimes it's billionaires like Commissioner Saul, but the point is that's usually who you pick. Okay. Quote, at this rate, they will break it, and they will break it fast, and there will be an interruption of benefits, said Martin O'Malley. Remember, he was the commissioner a couple commissioners ago. Actually, more than a couple committees. That's how crazy this is. Okay, look. Martin O'Malley, you remember him? November, like at the end of the month, like that was it. And then we had Carolyn Colvin, and then we had King. And now we got this new guy. It's so fast. It's so fast. It's just, it's even hard to just keep up with all the changes at the SSDI. All right, so here we go. Said Martin O'Malley, Social Security Commissioner under the Biden administration, a former Maryland governor. Quote, it's a shame the chilling effect it has to disregard 120 senior executive service people, O'Malley said. And this is my point. See how O'Malley is saying there's an upper cake layer of top executives at the SSA, 120 people total. And he said they should have been picked from. Those are the ones that should. Now, it's ironic that the politician is saying you should have picked from those when the politician that he replaced was Commissioner Kijakazi, who kind of quasi came from that. So it's just weird as an argument for him to make, because he snookered the position of acting to actual commissioner from, those upper level executives as a politician. So that was kind of not. Now, here's the next part. Quote, to pick an acting commissioner that is not in the senior executive service sends a message that professional people should leave the beleaguered public agency. The beleaguered public agency. You know what's amazing about that? Now, this is I think Martin O'Malley made a huge mistake here. Massive, massive mistake. He basically is saying to those individuals that you should consider leaving the agency. That was a whoops. I know that was a political thing. He was trying to do a swing this way, swing that. That was a major, major horrific whoops. He should not have said that. Let me read it to you again just so you have it. Quote, to pick an acting commissioner that is not in the senior executive service sends a message that professional people should leave the beleaguered public agency. I love that. So here's my take on it, just so you understand exactly what's going on. When a past commissioner says people at the executive level of a agency, Social Security Administration, that has attrition levels of losing employees at ridiculous levels, and they need more employees and they can't keep enough, the bottom line is, like, you cannot say, hey, top executives, go quit, go somewhere else, go work someplace else. You can't do that, because you're trying to sabotage the agency that you tried to fix. And he did a good job while he was working there. But, like, I think he really effed up when he made that statement. I don't think that was his best work there. White House officials have said that Musk associates are being properly vetted before they are appointed to official roles in the agency they are helping scrutinize. Of course, I mean, White House backs Musk. That's how it is. Administration officials have also been skeptical of career employee efforts to guard federal data, maintaining that political appointees should also be able to access it, particularly if necessary to root out wasteful or erroneous spending. All right, here's the next quote. All right, on Fox News on Monday evening, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said she had been fighting, quote, fake news reporters who had been trying to fearmonger about Social Security payments. Now, remember, some of the payments overseas were actually cut off to people. Now, there's a whole backstory to that, but it's not as massive as people are trying to make it. But some of the benefits were cut off for people overseas. Leavitt said Trump had directed Musk only to identify fraud in the program and that seniors' retirement benefits would be protected. Now, I just want to say something again, and I think this is crucial that you understand it. Number one, the Social Security Administration is always going to change. That is because it has to keep up with the problems it's facing, the modifications it needs to do to get around scams and fraud. And also, just to be fair, you guys have no technical legal right to it at the Supreme Court level or under the Constitution, which means you can pay in a lot of money, you pay for the prior generations, and then when it's your turn to take, they can change the system to make it work for them because you don't have a true privatized right to your Social Security benefits. That's a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people hate that. It is what it is. But the Supreme Court ruled on that way back in 1937. So just so you understand, no matter what a politician promises, Social Security will always change. We won't touch Social Security. They always will. We won't change the benefits. They always will. There's no way around it. The SSA is constantly evolving. Okay, next one. And remember, there's a couple of groups that handle that. So if you're wondering who to point the finger at, number one, it's basically the commissioner changing the rules to make the system work better. Number two, it's Congress for voting on the purse strings. Number three, it's the president kind of trying to promote the change of Social Security or getting more payments or more money going in the direction of Social Security. And then, of course, there's the judicial system. And then, of course, there's, case law, basically coming out here and there to change the regional areas, which ultimately ends up as a question to the commissioner, which becomes a Social Security ruling, which is an SSR, which is what they use to define usually when two different regions disagree. Okay, we did too much of that. Let's go back to the rest of this. The Social Security Administration is responsible for managing pension payments for more than 70 million American seniors and manages significant troves of personal data, including those related to the Americans' work and pay history and where they live. It was not immediately clear precisely which data the Musk associates wanted or the exact circumstances leading to King's departure. Let's just be straight on this. He wanted all of it, right? At the end of the day, he wanted all of it to study all of it. That's his purpose. That's his point. That's the whole D.O.G.E thing. He wanted all of it. And now, that doesn't mean, I'm going to be very, very clear with you, that doesn't mean that he's not going to find things that are absolutely terrifying. Okay. He's finding accounts that have been modified within the system where they don't have proper names and addresses and social security numbers attached to them for payments. And that's scary. But I think a good question a lot of people are asking is, how expensive is D.O.G.E? And is the fraud that they're finding actually worth the cost of this efficiency department? It's a good question. Musk associates had already sought access to records that are typically closely held across the federal government, prompting disputes with senior officials across numerous agencies. The highest ranking civil servant at the Treasury Department recently resigned after refusing to grant D.O.G.E access to the Bureau of Fiscal Service, which manages more than $5 trillion in annual payments. On Sunday, the Washington Post reported that D.O.G.E is seeking access to a heavily guarded system at the Internal Revenue Service with detailed financial information about every taxpayer, business, and nonprofit in the country. Musk associates have also sought access to sensitive information at the Labor Department. Now, you either fall into the camp where you hate D.O.G.E because you don't like that it's investigating the government, or you don't like that it's a Republican, situation, or you don't like Elon because he's, got all these other companies and he could be using this information to use AI in his own teams to figure out how to manipulate the market future to make more money. You could be in any one of these different camps. Most people, most government officials on the left and the right agree that they want to find the fraud. What's not helping the argument is that Elon is coming out with quick outputs. And some of these things that he's finding, they make a little error here, they make a little error there. There's fraud, but some of it doesn't add up to big, big numbers that they're claiming it does. And that's beginning to be a problem. So, as they shut things down or cause this interruption, I don't know. We're going to see. We don't have the data yet. Now, the reason we don't have the data yet that he's pushing and saying and making these big bullet point announcements is because traditionally the way this is supposed to happen is they will give a nonprofit or a government research group, like some group in the government, time to study a program and write a report. And then the politicians discuss the findings of the report back and forth. And then they put pressure on the commissioner to go ahead and make changes. They're not doing it this way, right? So we don't have a report. What we have is just the words and the tweets and the X, Twitter, whatever's of basically Elon. So as a result, people don't have that same trust of that nonprofit and that same trust of that government, group that does research, delivering the information to them. And so, it's a tough situation because, this is not stylized in the way we normally get official information about fraud being committed at extremely high levels, very large amounts in the federal government. All right, next thing. All right. So bottom line is this quote, what I know, this is a quote here. What I know is that D.O.G.E wanted access to SSA's sensitive files the same way they're trying to do at a Labor and Treasury, and the acting commissioner wouldn't give it, and she was replaced, said Nancy Altman, president of the Social Security Works, a left-leaning group, citing conversation with several current officials at the agency. All right. Now, some of you don't know how executives get quasi-fired in the government. Marty Sebo, thank you. Very cool. Let me put a little heart on that. Thank you for the $10 donation. That's awesome. Very, very cool. And guys, thank you for the donations. I use them to buy music and video gear so that I can actually start doing interviews. That's coming up. Now, with that said, I just want to point out something really, really big here, okay? When somebody is getting the opportunity to step down, the president reaches out to that person and says, I would like you to step down. That person either says, bleep yourself, or, okay, I'll agree to do it. In this case, right, she said, I will agree to do it because she knows what happened to Commissioner Saul. Commissioner Saul told Biden to go bleep off, and Biden said, okay, okay. Commissioner Saul got onto a plane, a jet, and then by the time he got off it, he couldn't get access to basically his system at the SSA because he was terminated, and that was it. It was over. So the president for these cabinet level positions, when they call you and say, we'd like you to go ahead and step down, we'd like you to go ahead and move out of the way, you can either do that or get fired. You only have. So what she said was, you know what? I'm going to step down. Sunday's happening. I'm out of the picture. Go do your own stuff. And that's what he's doing. He's putting somebody in who's going to give him direct access to these very, very secretive under the carpet files. Now, Musk has increasingly turned his attention to Social Security in recent days, arguing that the program is rife with fraud and erroneous payments without offering evidence for his claim. And to be fair, we already knew that there were a lot of problems. Remember, they dragged Commissioner Keisha Kazi in front of Congress and they beat her up over how many overpayments there were. Like, that's one of the big things. Like, Martin O'Malley did a really good job of creating a lot of new bullet points, rules, regulations when dealing with these overpayments. He did a really good job with that. Like, I don't know if you guys studied that. I've done videos on it, but Martin O'Malley really did a good job. The point here is that, to be very fair, the SSA is owed a lot of money from a lot of people all over the place. And the SSA is making payments, a good chunk of which that they shouldn't be. And part of the big problem is they don't have enough actual accountants working to figure out where the problem payments are. Now, we're going to be talking in the next video about the actual system that they use for reversal of benefit payments. It can either, it's an Uno card that goes change, right? It can actually give you benefits when it said it wouldn't, or it can take benefits away. And it's a specific program that they have at the SSA that there's nothing on this on the internet. So I'm going to actually give you the rundown from the statute that they have as to how it actually works. Okay, next thing. Musk has increasingly turned his attention. King, a career staffer, has worked at the agency since 1994, according to the agency's website. She had also held senior positions in its Office of Retirement and Disability Policy and the Office of Budget, Finance, and Management. Like, she was way up high. She was way up high. King could not be immediately reached for comment, which, to be fair, she was in that position. She's going to get the nice things that come with being in that high of a position. Because, when they leave that position, the government still pays them things and stuff like that. The Social Security Administration's records include all Social Security numbers, comprehensive medical records for those who have applied for disability benefits, bank information, earnings records, and more, Altman said. Quote, "There's no way to overstate how serious a breach this is," she said. Now, I need you to understand something. A lot of the Social Security numbers, a lot of the information was stolen back in 2023, December. It was posted on the dark web. We did a video about it. The bottom line is Biden, in the very beginning of his presidency and at the end of the presidency, released an executive order demanding that the government tighten its shit up so that it doesn't lose our stuff. Now, you guys have heard about Mr. Big Balls and yada yada, who's a back channel hacker type guy who claims that he has all this stuff and yada yada. It wouldn't surprise me if he did, because it's already been on the dark web multiple times. In fact, one of the hackers stole all of that information, the 270 something million Social Security numbers, stole that information from another hacker and basically and then posted it to the internet again so they couldn't sell it to a highest bidder, which is ironic. There's just no code of conduct among these hackers. They are not nice to each other. This is just not good. Not good. Now, all right, I want to go through something real quick over here. This is another article basically about the details of things that are going on. Now, Michelle King resigned. They're bringing in a new person who is in charge of fraud at the SSA. And this is all in preparation for the small amount of time they need left before they put Frank Bisignano in, who's the super CEO of financial transactions. Okay. Martin O'Malley, the Social Security Commissioner under the Biden administration, basically, said at this rate, they'll go ahead and break it. And when he said that, he wasn't wrong. Here's what's happening. The SSA is in a crisis because they can't find employees. That's problem number one. The SSA is a crisis because they don't have enough money to run the program. So, like, the administration doesn't have enough money to hire enough new people, and they don't have enough managers to train the new people. And then on top of that, it's got a problem where the trust funds are running out and running low. And look, let's just be clear here. I don't know what they're playing at. I don't know what they're doing, but the fact that they didn't process payments for the Social Security Fairness Act people, right? All those, the teachers, the police, the sheriffs, the firefighters who had those double pensions. And now they're saying it's going to take potentially a year to go ahead and make those payments. Look, something funny is going on with that. Something really funny. I am interested to find out how bad potential fraud at the SSA is. I know some of you will say, that's horrible. You can't want them to do what they're doing. Look, I get it. They're going about it the wrong way. I totally agree. But at the same time, the SSA is not doing well. It can't afford its beneficiaries. It can't afford its employees. And the morale of the people that are working there is shit. It's not good. So, by the way, if you want to find a job, go work for the SSA. They're looking for people and they're looking real hard and they're going to be open. They're going to be very open. So, the point that I'm getting, although they're not open for a point, they're not open to the general public as easily as they used to be. Now you got to set up an appointment. So if you want to, you got to go online and fill out the application. So my point to you is this, okay? The SSA is one of the most sacred agencies we have, right? Because people pay into their whole life. We expect the money to be there. If the money was not there to some degree, if they found fraud where accounts were missing things or things weren't properly converted or somehow things were being funneled off, imagine just for a moment how that would reshape America's viewpoint on Social Security benefits. And then imagine how that would manipulate the civilian's brain into thinking we have to have something different. And then imagine what that different would evolve into if they tried to vote in something different. Because remember, the first thing you'd have to do to a civilian's brain is convince them that what they were having, what they were paying into, is broken. And that leads the mental change to what it should be. And that mental change to what it should be might not be so good. And that's what scares me. That's what's worrying me a little bit about this. All right. With that said, we've gone over a ton of stuff. I just want to go over one last item before we go to the next video where we talk about the system that basically is used to review benefits and potentially reverse them. There's this, oh wait, do I have it over here? Hold on. I think I have, no, I don't have, no, I don't have it over here. It's right there. Okay. So here's the deal. We'll do another video where I go through the specific questions asked by the different politicians of D.O.G.E. when it comes to the Social Security Administration. But I want to tell you right up front, it's very easy. I'm going to simplify it. They're basically asking how deep they've gotten. They're asking what types of programs they're using to analyze it, what types of servers the information is going on, how private are the servers, how protected are the servers, and then ultimately, who's in charge of overseeing making sure that all the stuff that's being done can't actually be hacked. So those are important questions that we'll go into in the not too distant future. The next video we're going to be specifically talking about is this one right over here, which is the POR program from the Programs Operation Manual, specifically on the probability of reversal in the quality review process. So that's what they use to basically take away potential benefits at the SSA. It's one of the many ways that they do it, but it's an important way. All right, please remember to like and subscribe. Head over to Google, if you will. It's totally up to you. Leave some stars over at Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution, Florida. And please remember, on Mondays and Thursdays, I normally go live. I couldn't last night. I fell asleep. And so I will be going live to answer questions for free after, not the next video, but the video thereafter. Also, please keep in mind, if you want a private hour to go over some situation that you have, most of the spots are already filled for the next 2 weeks. So I've started to add more spots on there. But bottom line, the mini contract is below. I will catch you guys at the next video shortly. To all the trolls that are going to be mean to me in the comments, I'm going to give you a hug later. Don't worry about it. And all so many. Let me get them right in here. So I'll catch you all a little bit later. I will see you in the next 10 minutes at the next video and we'll catch up. Thank you so much. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.